If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Sharing it with your friends and family helps spread knowledge. And when we help others grow, we grow too. Thank you so much for listening. Let's dive into the podcast. Chapter 1, The Quest Beneath the Bodhi Tree, The Birth of Wisdom. Part 1, The Prince Who Had Everything Yet Nothing. A young prince lived in a great palace in the city of Kapilavastu. His father was King Suddhodana, a powerful ruler who loved his son more than all his wealth and lands. The prince's name was Siddhartha Gautama, and from the day he was born, wise men said he would become either a great king or a great teacher who would save the world from suffering. The king wanted his son to rule after him. He feared the wise men's words about his son becoming a teacher who would leave the palace. So the king built 3 beautiful palaces for Siddhartha. One was for the hot season, one for the cold season, and one for the rainy season. Each palace was filled with every pleasure a person could want. The prince lived surrounded by young, healthy, beautiful people. The king made sure that no old person, no sick person, and no dead person ever came near his son. All the servants in the palace were young and strong. All the dancers and musicians were beautiful and healthy. The gardens had only fresh flowers, never wilted or dead ones. Siddhartha wore the finest silk clothes and ate the best food. He had servants to bring him anything he wanted. He learned to read, write, fight with swords, and ride horses. He married a beautiful princess named Yasodhara, and they had a son named Rahula. For 29 years, the prince lived this way. He knew nothing of pain, sickness, old age, or death. He thought all people lived as he did, in comfort and joy. He believed life was only pleasure and happiness. He had never seen anyone cry from pain or fear. He had never watched someone grow weak with age or illness. The king's plan worked well for many years. Siddhartha was happy in his golden cage. He spent his days playing music, enjoying feasts, and walking in beautiful gardens. He thought this was how life was meant to be for everyone. But deep inside, something felt empty, even with all his riches and pleasures. Siddhartha sometimes felt a strange sadness he could not understand. He had everything, yet something was missing. He began to wonder what lay beyond the palace walls. The prince did not know that outside his protected world, people grew old and bent. He did not know that bodies could become sick and weak. He did not know that all living things must die. His father had hidden all of this from him, thinking it would keep his son happy and make him want to stay and rule. This sheltered life would not last forever. Soon, Siddhartha would see the truth about human existence, and everything would change. Part 2, The Foresights and the Shock of Suffering. Prince Siddhartha lived in peace within his father's palace for many years. But one day, his desire to see the world beyond the walls grew too strong to ignore. He asked his charioteer Channa to take him outside the palace gates to see his father's kingdom. On their first journey, they rode through the streets where people gathered and worked. Siddhartha had never seen anything like this before. The sights filled him with wonder and curiosity. But as they traveled further, he saw something that made his heart stop. An old man sat by the roadside. His back was bent like a curved branch. His hair was white as snow. His skin hung loose and wrinkled. He moved slowly and seemed to struggle with each step. "Channa, what has happened to this man?" Siddhartha asked. "Why does he look so different from me?" Channa's face grew sad. "My prince, this man is old. All people become old if they live long enough. Their bodies grow weak. Their strength leaves them. This will happen to you too, and to me, and to everyone." These words struck Siddhartha like lightning. He had never known that bodies could change this way. He returned to the palace troubled and could not sleep that night. Days later, he asked Channa to take him out again. This time, they saw a man lying on the ground, groaning in pain. His body burned with fever. Sores covered his skin. He coughed and wheezed, barely able to breathe. "What is wrong with this person?" Siddhartha asked. "He is sick, my prince. Disease can attack any body at any time. The rich and poor, young and old, all can become ill. No one can escape this possibility." Again, Siddhartha felt shock and confusion. His perfect world began to crack like a broken mirror. On their third journey outside the palace, they came upon a group of people carrying something covered in white cloth. Women wept. Men hung their heads in sorrow. The thing they carried was still and silent. "This person has died," Channa explained, before Siddhartha could ask. "Death comes to every living being, kings and servants, beautiful and ugly, wise and foolish, all must die. No one lives forever." Siddhartha felt as if the ground beneath him had disappeared. Everything he had believed about life was false. If everyone must grow old, become sick, and die, what was the point of pleasure and luxury? What meaning did his comfortable life have? On their fourth journey, they met a monk walking peacefully along the road. His head was shaved. He wore simple robes. He carried only a bowl for food. Yet his face showed no fear or sadness. Instead, he seemed calm and content. "This man has given up worldly life," Channa said. "He searches for truth and freedom from suffering. He has left behind family and possessions to find something greater." For the first time since seeing the old man, Siddhartha felt hope. Here was someone who had seen the same truths about aging, sickness, and death, but had found a different way to respond. This monk had not hidden from these realities or pretended they did not exist. Instead, he had chosen to face them directly and seek a solution. These four sights changed everything for Siddhartha. He could no longer enjoy his meals, his silk clothes, or his beautiful surroundings. Every pleasure reminded him that it would not last. Every moment of happiness was shadowed by the knowledge that suffering waited for everyone. The prince, who had once known only joy, now carried a heavy burden in his heart. He felt deep sadness for all living beings who must face old age, sickness, and death. This was not just his problem. It belonged to every person who had ever lived. Rich or poor, loved or alone, famous or unknown, all shared this same fate. Night after night, Siddhartha lay awake thinking about what he had seen. He began to understand that his father's protection had been built on lies. The truth could not be hidden forever. Now that he had seen it, he could not pretend it did not exist. The image of the peaceful monk stayed with him most of all. That man had found something that made him unafraid of these terrible truths. Whatever he had discovered, Siddhartha knew he had to find it too. Part 3. Renunciation and the Long Road to Asceticism. Prince Siddhartha could no longer live as he had before. The sights of suffering had changed him completely. He knew that no amount of wealth or pleasure could protect him from the truth of old age, sickness, and death. One night, when his wife and newborn son slept peacefully, he made the hardest choice of his life. He left his palace, his family, and everything he had ever known. He traded his silk robes for rough cloth. He gave away his jewels and cut off his long hair. The prince who had lived in luxury now walked barefoot on dusty roads. He sought out the wisest teachers and learned their ways of meditation and prayer. But even their teachings did not give him the answers he sought. Siddhartha decided he must push himself harder. He joined a group of holy men who believed that suffering of the body would free the spirit. They practiced harsh disciplines that most people could never endure. Siddhartha ate only 1 grain of rice each day. His body became so thin that his ribs showed through his skin. His face grew gaunt and his eyes sank deep into his head. For 6 long years, he tortured his body in this way. He sat in the burning sun without moving. He held his breath until he nearly fainted. He slept on beds of thorns. He believed that by making his body suffer, he could find the truth about life and death. The other holy men praised him as the most dedicated among them. But as the years passed, Siddhartha grew weaker and weaker. His mind became cloudy from hunger and pain. Instead of finding wisdom, he found only confusion. Instead of peace, he found only more suffering. He realized that hurting his body was not bringing him closer to understanding. It was only making him too weak to think clearly. One day, a young woman named Sujata saw him sitting by a river. She felt pity for this starving holy man and offered him a bowl of rice and milk. At first, Siddhartha refused, but then he understood something important. His body was like a musical instrument. If the strings were too loose, it would make no sound. If they were too tight, they would break. Only when the strings were properly tuned could beautiful music be made. He took the bowl and ate. The other holy men were angry and left him, saying he had given up the true path. But Siddhartha knew he had found something more important. He had learned that neither luxury nor extreme suffering would lead to wisdom. There had to be a middle path between these two extremes. Part 4. Enlightenment under the Bodhi Tree. After eating the simple meal, Siddhartha felt his strength return. He walked until he came to a great fig tree with wide branches and thick leaves. The tree stood strong and peaceful beside a flowing river. Something about this place felt right to him. He sat down in the shade, crossed his legs, and made a promise to himself. He would not get up from this spot until he found the truth he was seeking. As the sun set, Siddhartha began to meditate deeply. The night was quiet, except for the gentle sound of the river. He sat perfectly still, his back straight, his mind becoming calm and clear. Hours passed like moments. His breathing became slow and steady. During the night, many thoughts and feelings came to his mind. Fear tried to shake him. Doubt whispered that he should give up. Pleasant memories of his old life as a prince tried to pull him back, but he remained sitting, watching these thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky. As the night grew deeper, his mind became clearer than it had ever been. He began to see things as they truly were. First, he understood that all living beings suffer. This suffering comes from wanting things they cannot have, from trying to hold on to things that must change, and from not accepting life as it is. Then he saw that this suffering has a cause. People suffer because they are always wanting, always craving, always trying to make things different from what they are. They want pleasure and run from pain. They want to keep good things forever and push away bad things. But life does not work this way. Next, he realized that suffering can end. When people stop this endless wanting and learn to accept what is, they find peace. This peace is not empty or sad. It is full of calm joy and understanding. Finally, he saw the path that leads to this freedom. It is not the path of too much pleasure, like his life as a prince. It is not the path of too much pain, like the years he spent hurting his body. It is the middle path between these two extremes. As the first light of dawn touched the sky, everything became perfectly clear. Siddhartha was no longer searching. He had become the Buddha, which means the awakened one. He had found the truth that would free all people from suffering. He sat under that tree, now called the Bodhi Tree, filled with deep peace and endless compassion for all living beings. The man who had left his palace as a confused prince had become the teacher who would show the world a new way to live. Chapter 2. The Turning of the Wheel, From Insight to Teaching. Part 1. The First Sermon at Sarnath. After reaching perfect awakening under the Bodhi Tree, the Buddha sat in silence for 7 weeks. He wondered if anyone could understand the deep truth he had found. The teachings seemed too difficult for ordinary minds to grasp. Then Brahma Sahampati, the highest of all gods, came before the Buddha. He bowed down and spoke with great respect. "Lord, please teach the Dharma to the world. There are beings with little dust in their eyes who will understand. They will be lost if they do not hear your words." The Buddha looked at the world with his divine eye. He saw that some people were like lotus flowers ready to bloom. These beings could learn and be free from suffering. He decided to teach. The Buddha thought of who would best understand his first teaching. He remembered his 2 former teachers, but both had died. Then he thought of 5 men who had practiced harsh disciplines with him in the forest. They had left him when he stopped starving himself and began eating normal food again. These 5 men were staying in the deer park at Sarnath, near the holy city of Varanasi. The Buddha walked there to find them. When they saw him coming, they decided to ignore him. They thought he had become weak and given up the spiritual path. But as the Buddha came closer, something changed in them. His presence filled them with peace and respect they could not resist. Without planning it, they stood up, took his bowl and robe, and prepared a seat for him. They still called him by his old name, Gautama, and spoke to him as an equal. The Buddha said to them, "Do not call me by my name or treat me as a friend. I have become the Tathagata, the one who has found perfect truth. I have gained the highest awakening. Listen to me, and I will teach you the Dharma that leads to freedom from death." At first, the 5 men did not believe him. They said, "Gautama, you could not reach the highest goal when you practiced harsh disciplines with us. How can you reach it now when you live an easy life?" The Buddha asked them, "Have you ever heard me speak this way before? Have you ever seen me claim such things?" They had to admit they had not. Then the Buddha began his first sermon. This teaching is called Setting in Motion the Wheel of Dharma because it started the spread of Buddhist teachings throughout the world. The Buddha spoke about the middle way. He said there are 2 extremes that people who seek truth should avoid. One extreme is giving in to pleasure and comfort. This is low, common, and does not lead to spiritual progress. The other extreme is severe self-torture and harsh practices. This causes pain and is also useless for spiritual growth. The Buddha had tried both extremes and found that neither worked. Instead, he had discovered the middle way. This path avoids both extremes and leads to wisdom, peace, and perfect awakening. Then the Buddha taught the 4 noble truths, which are the foundation of all his teachings. The first noble truth is the truth of suffering. Life contains suffering, pain, illness, aging, death, separation from loved ones, and not getting what we want. Even happy moments do not last forever. This suffering exists in all forms of life. The second noble truth is the truth of the cause of suffering. Suffering comes from craving and attachment. We suffer because we constantly want things to be different from how they are. We crave pleasure, we crave existence, and we crave non-existence. This craving creates the endless cycle of birth and death. The third noble truth is the truth that suffering can end. There is a way to stop all suffering completely. This state of no suffering is called nirvana. It is perfect peace and freedom. The fourth noble truth is the truth of the path that leads to the end of suffering. This path has 8 parts and is called the Noble Eightfold Path. The Buddha then explained the Noble Eightfold Path. This path has 3 main sections: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. The wisdom section includes right view and right intention. Right view means understanding the 4 noble truths and seeing reality as it truly is. Right intention means having thoughts of renunciation, goodwill, and harmlessness. The ethical conduct section includes right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Right speech means not lying, not speaking harshly, not gossiping, and not using words that cause harm. Right action means not killing, not stealing, and not engaging in sexual misconduct. Right livelihood means earning money in ways that do not harm other living beings. The mental discipline section includes right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Right effort means working steadily to develop good qualities and remove bad ones. Right mindfulness means staying aware of the body, feelings, mind, and mental objects. Right concentration means developing deep states of mental focus and calm. As the Buddha finished explaining these teachings, something wonderful happened. The oldest of the 5 men, whose name was Karuṇā, suddenly understood the truth. In that moment, his spiritual eye opened, and he saw that everything that begins must also end. He realized the nature of reality and became the first person other than the Buddha to reach awakening. The Buddha smiled and said, "Karuṇā understands. Karuṇā truly understands." From that moment, Karuṇā was called Karuṇā, which means Karuṇā who understands. The gods in heaven celebrated this moment. They knew that the wheel of Dharma had been set in motion and could never be stopped by anyone in the world. Over the following days, the other 4 men also reached awakening as the Buddha continued to teach them. These 5 men became the first monks in the Buddhist community called the Sangha. With the Buddha, the Dharma teachings, and the Sangha community, the 3 jewels of Buddhism were complete. This first teaching at Sarnath marked the beginning of Buddhism as a religion and philosophy that would spread throughout the world. The simple but profound truths the Buddha shared that day continue to help people find freedom from suffering more than 2,000 years later. Part 2. Understanding Dukkha, the nature of suffering. When the Buddha taught at Sarnath, he first spoke of a truth that all people must face. This truth is called Dukkha. Dukkha means that all life contains suffering. But it means more than just the pain we feel when we are hurt or sick. Dukkha includes 3 kinds of experience. The first is the obvious suffering we all know. We get sick. We grow old. People we love die. Our bodies feel pain. Our hearts break. No person can avoid these experiences. They are part of being born into this world. The second kind of suffering is harder to see. It comes from the fact that nothing stays the same. Everything changes. Even when we're happy, that happiness does not last forever. We enjoy a good meal, but then we become hungry again. We spend time with friends, but then they must leave. We have moments of joy, but they pass away. This constant changing makes us feel unsatisfied. We always want things to be different than they are. The third kind of suffering is the deepest. It comes from our very nature as beings made up of parts that are always changing. Our bodies change every day. Our thoughts come and go. Our feelings rise and fall. We cannot find any part of ourselves that stays exactly the same. This makes us feel lost and without solid ground to stand on. The Buddha taught that suffering has causes. These causes live inside our own minds. The main cause is craving. We always want things to be different. We want pleasure, and we want to avoid pain. We want to get things we do not have. We want to keep things we might lose. We want to push away things we do not like. This constant wanting creates suffering. Another cause is attachment. We grab onto people, things, and ideas. We think they will make us permanently happy. But because everything changes, we suffer when these things change or leave us. We also become attached to our own ideas about who we are. We build stories about ourselves and fight to protect these stories. The deepest cause of suffering is ignorance. We do not see life as it really is. We think things that change are permanent. We look for happiness in places where it cannot be found. We believe we are separate from everything else. We do not understand that all things arise together and depend on each other. The Buddha said that seeing these truths clearly is the beginning of freedom. When we truly understand how suffering works, we can begin to let go of the patterns that create it. This understanding does not come from thinking alone. It must grow through careful attention to our daily experience. We must watch how craving appears in our minds. We must see how attachment binds us. we must notice how ignorance clouds our vision. This first truth of suffering is not meant to make us sad or hopeless. Instead, it points us toward freedom. Just as a doctor must first understand what makes us sick before giving medicine, we must understand suffering before we can end it. The Buddha promised that suffering can end completely. But first, we must be willing to look at it honestly and see it clearly. Part 3. The Path of Liberation, 8 Steps to Freedom. The Buddha taught a path with 8 connected steps that leads away from suffering. These steps work together like parts of one body. No single step can stand alone. Each one helps the others grow stronger. Right view means seeing life as it truly is. This means understanding that all things change and pass away. It means knowing that our actions have results that come back to us. It means seeing that clinging to things brings pain. Right view is like having clear eyes that see the path ahead without clouds or fog. Right intention flows from right view. When we see clearly, our heart naturally turns toward what is good. We want to give up harmful desires. We want to show kindness to all living beings. We want to avoid hurting others. Right intention is the inner fire that moves us forward on the path. Right speech means using words that help rather than harm. We speak truth instead of lies. We avoid harsh words that cut like knives. We do not spread stories that divide people. We do not waste time with empty talk. When we speak, our words should be like cool water for those who are thirsty. Right action means our bodies follow the same wisdom as our words. We do not take life from others. We do not take what does not belong to us. We do not cause harm through our desires. Our hands become tools for helping rather than hurting. Right livelihood means earning our food and shelter through work that does not harm others. We do not make money by selling weapons or poison. We do not trade in living beings. We do not lie or cheat to get what we need. Our daily work becomes part of our spiritual practice. Right effort means trying in the correct way. We work steadily, but do not push so hard that we break. We guard against thoughts that lead to suffering. We grow thoughts that lead to peace. We are like a farmer who tends his field with patience day after day. Right mindfulness means paying attention to what is happening right now. We watch our body, feelings, thoughts, and the world around us. We do not get lost in dreams about the future or regrets about the past. We stay awake to this moment like a guard who never sleeps. Right concentration means training the mind to be calm and focused. Through practice, the mind becomes like a still lake that reflects the sky perfectly. In deep concentration, we see the true nature of all things. This clear seeing brings the wisdom that ends all suffering. These 8 steps are not rules from outside, but natural ways the awakened mind works. They support each other like the spokes of a wheel. Together, they form the complete path that leads beyond all pain to perfect peace. Part 4. The Sangha and the Early Disciples. After teaching the noble path to freedom, the Buddha knew that wisdom without community would struggle to grow. Like seeds that need good soil and care from gardeners, the teachings needed devoted people to protect and share them. This is why the Buddha created the Sangha, the community of monks and nuns who would keep the Dharma alive. When 5 ascetics first heard the Buddha speak at Sarnath, they became his earliest disciples. These men had practiced harsh fasting and painful methods for years, thinking this would bring them truth. But when they listened to the middle way, their hearts opened like flowers in morning light. They saw that extreme suffering was as useless as extreme comfort. They asked to join the Buddha as his students. The Buddha accepted them gladly. These 5 became the first members of the Sangha. Soon, many others came seeking the path beyond suffering. Young men left their families and wealth. Old men who had tried many teachers found peace at last in the Buddha's words. Each person who joined the community had their own story of change. There was Sariputta, who became known for his wisdom. He had been a wandering seeker, smart and proud. When he first heard about the Buddha's teaching from another monk, his heart knew truth immediately. He brought his close friend Moggallana, and they both became the Buddha's chief disciples. The Buddha created rules for this growing community. These were not harsh commands, but gentle guidelines to help everyone live in peace together. The monks and nuns shared their few possessions. They ate simple food and wore plain robes. They spoke truthfully and kindly to each other. They met regularly to confess any mistakes and to study the teachings together. The daily life of the Sangha showed how the Eightfold Path worked in practice. The monks practiced right speech by speaking only what was helpful and true. They practiced right livelihood by begging for food instead of taking what they wanted. Their simple way of life taught right action through example. Most importantly, the Sangha members supported each other on the spiritual path. When one person struggled with anger or desire, others helped with patience and wisdom. When someone felt discouraged, the community offered encouragement. Like a family of the spirit, they cared for each other's growth toward awakening. The Buddha said the Sangha was like a refuge for all beings seeking peace. Just as travelers find safety in a strong shelter during storms, those who suffered could find comfort and guidance in this community. The monks and nuns did not just practice for themselves, but for all living things. Through the Sangha, the Dharma spread like gentle rain across the land. The community preserved the Buddha's exact words and practiced his teachings faithfully. This living example of compassion and wisdom drew many hearts toward the path of liberation. Part 5. Spreading the Dharma across India. After the Sangha grew strong, the Dharma began to spread across the vast lands of India. The Buddha did not command his followers to force others to believe. Instead, he said to them, "Go forth for the good of many, for the happiness of many. Go with compassion for the world. Teach the Dharma that is beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, and beautiful in the end." The monks and nuns walked from village to village, from city to city. They carried no weapons, only their bowls and robes. Their gentle manner and peaceful words drew people to listen. When someone asked about suffering, they shared the Four Noble Truths. When someone wanted to know how to live well, they taught the Eightfold Path. In the kingdom of Magadha, King Bimbisara heard the Buddha speak and became a devoted follower. The king offered gardens and monasteries for the Sangha to live in. Other rulers saw this example and also welcomed the Buddhist teachers into their lands. Yet the Dharma did not depend only on royal favor. Common people, farmers, merchants, craftsmen, also found comfort in these teachings about ending suffering. The message adapted to each place it reached. In areas where people worshipped many gods, the Buddha did not forbid their practices, but showed them the deeper truth beyond all rituals. Where people followed strict social rules, he taught that awakening was possible for all, regardless of birth or position. The Dharma flowed like water, taking the shape of each vessel while keeping its pure essence. Notable followers arose in different regions. In Rajagriha, the wealthy merchant Anathapindika gave great donations to support the community. In Shravasti, Queen Malika influenced her husband, the king, to protect Buddhist monks. These converts did not abandon their duties, but performed them with greater wisdom and compassion. The teachings spread north toward the mountains and south toward the great rivers. Monks established monasteries in important trade centers where travelers from distant lands could hear the Dharma. The message traveled along merchant routes, carried by those who had found peace in the Buddha's words. This growth happened not through conquest, but through example. When people saw monks living with contentment, speaking truthfully, and helping others without seeking reward, they wanted to learn these ways. Parents taught their children the simple Buddhist virtues. Students memorized the Buddha's discourses and shared them in their home villages. The Dharma proved it could take root in different soils while remaining true to its nature. Each community that accepted the teachings added their voices to the growing chorus of those seeking liberation from suffering. Chapter 3. The Living Dharma, Techniques for Inner Peace and Healing. Part 1. The Art of Mindfulness, Sati. Listen well to these teachings on mindfulness, the practice called Sati in the ancient tongue. This is the way to watch your mind and body with clear-seeing eyes. Mindfulness means to stay awake in this very moment. Do not let your mind wander to yesterday or tomorrow. Keep your attention here and now. Watch what happens inside you without getting caught up in it. When you breathe, know that you are breathing. When you walk, know that you are walking. When you eat, know that you are eating. This simple knowing is the beginning of wisdom. Watch your thoughts as they come and go like clouds in the sky. Do not fight them or push them away. Do not hold on to them either. Just see them clearly. Notice how they arise from nothing and disappear into nothing. Watch your feelings too. When anger comes, see the anger. When sadness comes, see the sadness. When joy comes, see the joy. Do not say, I am angry or I am sad. Instead say, anger is here or sadness is here. This way you will not become trapped by your emotions. Your body also teaches you through mindfulness. Feel your feet touching the ground. Notice your heart beating. Sense the air on your skin. Your body is always in the present moment. It can help bring your wandering mind back to now. Practice mindfulness while doing simple tasks. When you wash dishes, feel the warm water and soap on your hands. When you sweep, notice the movement of your arms. When you sit, feel your body resting. Every moment can become a teacher. This practice brings great peace. When your mind stops running from thought to thought, you find stillness. When you stop fighting with what is happening, you find ease. Your mind becomes like a clear lake that reflects everything perfectly. Through mindfulness, you will see the truth about your thoughts and feelings. You will notice how they change constantly. Nothing stays the same. This seeing helps you let go of worry and fear. You realize that painful thoughts and feelings will pass away just as pleasant ones do. Start with short periods of practice. Sit quietly and watch your breathing for just a few minutes each day. As you grow stronger in mindfulness, you can practice throughout your day. Walking mindfully, eating mindfully, speaking mindfully. This is the foundation of all Buddhist practice. Without mindfulness, you cannot see clearly. With mindfulness, wisdom naturally grows like a flower in good soil. Remember these words and practice them faithfully. Mindfulness is the path that leads from suffering to freedom, from confusion to clarity, from restlessness to peace. Part 2. Meditation and the Calm Abiding Mind, Samatha and Vipassanā. When you have built a strong foundation in mindfulness, you are ready to explore the two great forms of meditation that lead to complete freedom from suffering. These are called Samatha and Vipassanā. Together, they form a complete path to peace and wisdom. Samatha means calm abiding. This practice makes your mind steady and peaceful, like a still lake that reflects the sky perfectly. When your mind is scattered and jumping from thought to thought, you cannot see truth clearly. Samatha teaches you to focus your attention on one object and keep it there without moving. Choose a simple object for your attention. The breath works best for most people. Sit with your back straight but not stiff. Close your eyes gently. Place your full attention on the feeling of breath entering and leaving your body. When your mind wanders to other things, notice this gently and bring your attention back to the breath. Do not fight with your thoughts or become angry at your wandering mind. Simply return to the breath with patience and kindness. At first, your mind will jump like a wild monkey from branch to branch. This is normal. With daily practice, your mind will become more stable. You will find longer periods where you can rest in calm awareness. This calm is not empty or dull. It is awake and clear, filled with peaceful energy. Vipassanā means clear seeing or insight. Once your mind is steady through samatha practice, you can look deeply into the true nature of all things. Vipassanā shows you three basic truths about existence that bring complete freedom from suffering. First, you will see that everything changes constantly. Your thoughts, feelings, and body sensations arise and pass away moment by moment. Nothing stays the same. Even your strongest emotions and your worst pain will change and disappear. When you truly understand this, you stop clinging to pleasant experiences and stop fearing unpleasant ones. Second, you will see that trying to hold on to changing things always creates suffering. Your mind wants to keep good feelings forever and push away difficult feelings immediately. But since everything changes naturally, this wanting creates constant struggle and pain. When you see this clearly, you can let experiences come and go without fighting. Third, you will see that there is no solid, unchanging self that owns your experiences. Your thoughts, feelings, and sensations arise by themselves according to causes and conditions. You are not separate from the flow of life. This understanding dissolves the ego that creates so much fear and conflict. To practice Vipassanā, sit in the same way as for Samatha, but instead of focusing on just one object, open your awareness to whatever arises in your experience. Notice thoughts appearing and disappearing. Observe emotions rising and falling. Feel body sensations changing moment by moment. Do not judge or analyze these experiences. Simply observe them with clear, calm attention. As you watch your experience closely, you will begin to see the three truths directly. You will notice how everything changes, how grasping creates suffering, and how there is no fixed self controlling your experience. This seeing brings deep peace and wisdom that transforms your entire life. Practice both methods daily. Start with Samatha to calm your mind, then move to Vipassanā to develop insight. These practices work together like two wings of a bird, carrying you to complete freedom from mental pain and confusion. With patience and regular practice, you will discover the unshakable peace that lives within your own heart. Part 3. Compassion and loving kindness, Metta and Karuṇā. Now we come to the heart of the Buddha's teaching about love and care for all beings. The practices of loving kindness and compassion are not just feelings, but trainings that can heal your mind and bring peace to your relationships. Loving kindness, called Metta, means wishing happiness and peace for yourself and all living beings. It starts with your own heart. Sit quietly and bring your attention to yourself. Say silently, "May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering. May I live with ease." Feel these words in your heart, not just in your mind. When you can truly wish yourself well, then turn your attention to someone you love dearly. Picture them clearly and offer the same wishes. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. May you live with ease. Let warm feelings of care flow from your heart to theirs. Next, think of someone neutral, perhaps a neighbor or store clerk. Extend the same kind wishes to them. This helps your heart grow bigger and more open. The real test comes when you think of someone who has hurt you or made you angry. This is where Metta becomes powerful medicine. Even if you do not feel it at first, practice sending them the same wishes. This does not mean you agree with their actions. It means you choose love over hatred for your own freedom. Compassion, called Karuṇā, goes deeper than loving kindness. Where Metta wishes happiness, compassion responds to suffering with the desire to help. When you see pain in yourself or others, compassion moves you to act with wisdom and kindness. Practice compassion by first noticing your own struggles without judgment. When you feel sad, angry, or afraid, place your hand on your heart and say, "This is a moment of suffering. Suffering is part of life. May I be kind to myself in this difficulty." Then extend this same gentle response to others. When you see someone in pain, whether physical or emotional, let your heart soften. Wish for their suffering to end. If you can help skillfully, do so. If not, simply hold them in your compassionate awareness. These practices change your brain and heart over time. Regular metta meditation dissolves anger and resentment like water dissolving salt. Compassion training makes you stronger, not weaker. You become someone who can face life's difficulties with an open heart instead of closing down in fear or hatred. Start each day with a few minutes of loving-kindness meditation. End each day by sending compassion to anyone who suffered, including yourself. Watch how this simple practice transforms your relationships and brings peace to your daily life. When your heart is full of love and compassion, there is no room for the small angers and worries that usually disturb your peace. Part 4. Ethical Living, the 5 Precepts as Daily Practice. Ethical Living, the 5 Precepts as Daily Practice. The Buddha taught 5 simple rules for living well. These are called the 5 Precepts. They are not commands from above, but practical guidelines that lead to happiness and peace. When you follow these precepts, you create good conditions for your own joy and the well-being of others. The first precept: do not kill. The first precept means not taking the life of any living being. This includes not killing humans, animals, or insects. It also means not causing others to kill for you. When you respect all life, you develop a gentle heart. You become someone who protects rather than harms. This brings peace to your mind because you know you are not the cause of suffering for any creature. The second precept: do not steal. The second precept means not taking what is not given to you. This includes obvious stealing, but also taking office supplies from work, not paying fair wages, or using things without permission. When you only take what is freely given, you live without fear. You sleep well at night, knowing you have harmed no one through greed. Your relationships become based on trust and honesty. The third precept: avoid sexual misconduct. The third precept means being faithful to your partner and not using sexuality to harm others. This includes adultery, forcing sexual contact, or using sex to manipulate people. When you practice sexual integrity, you build relationships based on respect and genuine care. This creates deep trust and lasting happiness in your personal life. The fourth precept: do not lie. Precept means speaking truthfully and avoiding false speech. This includes not lying, gossiping, speaking harshly, or using words to hurt others. When you speak only truth and kindness, people trust you completely. You never have to remember what lies you told or worry about being caught in deception. Your words become a source of healing and comfort for others. The fifth precept: avoid intoxication. The fifth precept means not using alcohol, drugs, or other substances that cloud your mind. When your mind is clear, you can make good decisions and see situations accurately. You avoid the suffering that comes from acting foolishly while intoxicated. Your natural awareness becomes your guide instead of artificial substances. These precepts work together to create a life of integrity. Each precept you follow makes the others easier to keep. When you do not kill, you naturally become more honest. When you do not steal, sexual misconduct becomes unthinkable. When you speak truthfully, you need no intoxication to escape guilt or shame. The precepts are medicine for daily life. They prevent the mental suffering that comes from acting against your deepest values. They build social trust because others know they can depend on your good character. Most importantly, they create the calm and clear conditions in which true happiness can grow. Living by these guidelines, your conscience becomes peaceful. You face each day with confidence, knowing your actions create benefit rather than harm in the world. Part 5. The Origin of Mind-Body Harmony. The Buddha taught that mind and body are not separate things. They work together, like 2 oxen pulling the same cart. What happens in your mind affects your body. What happens in your body affects your mind. This connection is so close that you cannot heal one without caring for the other. When your mind is angry, your body becomes tense. Your shoulders tighten. Your jaw clenches. Your breathing becomes shallow and quick. The anger creates real pain in your muscles and joints. When your mind is worried, your stomach churns, your heart beats faster, your hands shake. The worry becomes physical suffering. The opposite is also true. When your body is sick or hurt, your mind becomes disturbed. Physical pain makes you irritated and sad. A tired body makes the mind cloudy and confused. Hunger makes you angry. Cold makes you withdrawn. Early Buddhist teachers saw this clearly. They knew that to end suffering, you must work with both mind and body together. You cannot ignore one and expect the other to be healthy. This is why Buddhist practice includes both mental training and care for the physical form. When you sit in meditation, you train your mind to be calm and clear, but you also learn to sit with good posture. You breathe slowly and deeply. You relax your muscles. The peaceful mind helps create a peaceful body. The still body helps create a still mind. Mental states change your body in ways you can measure. Fear makes your heart race and your palms sweat. Joy relaxes your face and opens your chest. Hatred makes your blood pressure rise. Love makes your breathing slow and deep. Greed creates tension in your belly. Generosity softens your whole frame. The Buddha taught specific methods to bring mind and body into harmony. First, watch your breathing. When you pay attention to each breath, both mind and body become calm. The breath is the bridge between inner and outer experience. Second, scan your body with awareness. Notice where you hold tension. Send kind attention to these places. Often, the tension will release just from being noticed with care. Third, practice walking meditation. Move slowly and pay attention to each step. This trains both mind and body to work together in peace. Fourth, eat mindfully. Taste your food. Chew slowly. Notice how different foods affect your energy and mood. Good nutrition supports mental clarity. Fifth, get enough sleep and rest. A tired mind creates more suffering. A rested mind sees problems more clearly and responds with wisdom instead of reaction. When you live ethically, your body relaxes because your conscience is clear. When you meditate regularly, your body becomes healthier because stress decreases. When you show kindness to others, your own nervous system becomes more balanced. This is the ancient wisdom of mind-body harmony. Take care of both together, and both will support your path to freedom from suffering. Chapter 4. The Eternal Middle Way, Applying Buddhist Wisdom in the Modern Age. Part 1. The Great Spread, from India to Asia and beyond. After Buddha's death, his teachings began to spread far beyond the borders of India. Like seeds carried by the wind, his wisdom took root in many lands, growing and changing to fit new cultures while keeping its true heart. The first great journey took Buddhism south to Sri Lanka. Here, monks carefully wrote down Buddha's words for the first time, creating sacred books that would last for ages. The people of Sri Lanka held tight to Buddha's original teachings, forming what became known as Theravada Buddhism, the way of the elders. From India's northern borders, Buddhist monks walked the dangerous mountain paths into Central Asia. They crossed burning deserts and freezing peaks, carrying Buddha's message along the ancient trade roads. In these harsh lands, Buddhism mixed with local beliefs, creating new forms of practice that helped people face the hardships of desert life. The teachings then flowed east into China, where they met a culture already rich with wisdom traditions. Chinese thinkers saw Buddha's ideas through their own eyes, blending his teachings with their love of harmony and balance. This created new schools of Buddhist thought that spoke to the Chinese heart while keeping Buddha's core message alive. High in the mountains of Tibet, Buddhism found another home. Here it grew into Vajrayana Buddhism, a powerful form that used special practices and symbols to help people reach enlightenment quickly. Tibetan monks became masters of meditation and study, building great monasteries where thousands came to learn. Across the sea in Japan, Buddhism again changed to fit a new people. Japanese Buddhists created simple, direct paths to awakening. Some focused on pure faith, others on sitting meditation, and still others on finding Buddha nature in everyday actions like serving tea or arranging flowers. Throughout Southeast Asia, Buddhism spread like water flowing into every valley. In Thailand, Burma, Cambodia, and other lands, golden temples rose to honor Buddha. Monks in orange robes became teachers and guides, helping common people live with kindness and wisdom. Each land that received Buddha's teachings added its own flavor while keeping the basic recipe the same. The Four Noble Truths about suffering remain true, whether spoken in Sanskrit, Chinese, or Thai. The Eightfold Path still led to freedom from pain, whether practiced in mountain monasteries or city temples. This ability to change outer forms while keeping inner truth shows Buddhism's great strength. Like water that takes the shape of any container but remains water, Buddha's wisdom adapted to every culture it touched. Kings and farmers, scholars and simple folk all found ways to use these teachings in their daily lives. The spread of Buddhism across Asia shows us something important about truth itself. When wisdom is real and helpful, it can travel anywhere and help anyone, no matter how different their customs or language might be. Part 2. Rebirth of Mindfulness, Buddhism and Modern Psychology. Rebirth of Mindfulness, Buddhism and Modern Psychology. Today, something wonderful is happening. The wisdom that Buddha taught 2,500 years ago is being proven true by modern doctors and scientists. They are finding that the old ways of training the mind really do help people feel better and live without so much pain. In hospitals and clinics around the world, doctors now teach patients to sit quietly and watch their breath, just like Buddhist monks have done for centuries. They call this mindfulness-based stress reduction. When people learn to pay attention to the present moment without getting caught up in worried thoughts, their bodies actually change. Their blood pressure goes down. Their immune system gets stronger. The constant pain in their bodies often gets better. Scientists can now look inside the brain with special machines while people meditate. They see that regular practice of sitting quietly and watching the mind actually changes the brain itself. The parts that feel fear and worry get smaller. The parts that feel calm and kind get bigger. This proves what Buddhist teachers always knew, that we can train our minds just like we train our bodies. Therapists who help people with sad feelings and fear now use ideas that come straight from Buddha's teachings. They teach people to watch their thoughts without believing everything they think. They show how thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky. When someone learns this, they do not get so trapped by dark thoughts or scary feelings. The idea of watching pain without fighting it also comes from Buddhist wisdom. When people have pain in their bodies that will not go away, doctors now teach them to sit with the pain in a different way. Instead of always trying to make it stop, they learn to breathe with it and accept it. This sounds strange, but it really works. When we stop fighting pain so hard, it often hurts much less. Even people who never heard of Buddha are learning these ways of healing. In schools, children learn to sit quietly for a few minutes each day to help them feel calm and focused. In offices, workers take breaks to breathe deeply and clear their minds. In hospitals, patients learn to meditate before surgery to feel less afraid. This meeting of ancient wisdom and modern science shows us something beautiful. The truth about how to live without so much suffering does not get old. It does not matter if we call it Buddhism or psychology or medicine. When we learn to pay attention to this moment with a quiet mind and an open heart, we feel better. Our pain gets lighter. Our fear gets smaller. Our joy gets bigger. The same practices that help people find peace in ancient times still work today. They work whether you live in a monastery or a busy city. They work whether you believe in Buddhist teachings or just want to feel better in your daily life. Part 3. Compassion as Medicine. Healing through service and empathy. When we understand our own pain, we begin to see the pain of others. This is how healing starts. Not just healing for ourselves, but healing for everyone around us. The Buddha taught that all beings suffer. When we truly know this, we cannot sit still while others hurt. Compassion is not just feeling sorry for someone. It is action. It is reaching out when someone needs help. It is working to make less suffering in the world. When we practice this kind of compassion, something beautiful happens. Our own pain gets smaller because we are not thinking only about ourselves. Many Buddhists today understand this teaching in a deep way. They do not just sit quietly and meditate. They also go out into the world to help. They work in hospitals. They help feed hungry people. They visit people in prison. They go to places where disasters have happened to bring food and medicine and comfort. This is called engaged Buddhism. It means taking the peace and wisdom from meditation and using it to help others. When earthquakes destroy homes, Buddhist groups bring tents and water. When people have no food, Buddhist kitchens cook free meals. When children cannot read, Buddhist teachers start schools. In many places, Buddhist communities run free medical clinics. Doctors and nurses who practice Buddhism give their time to help sick people who have no money for treatment. They understand that healing the body and healing the heart often happen together. Buddhist teachers also go to prisons to teach meditation to people who have made mistakes. These prisoners learn how to find peace even when they are locked up. Many of them say that Buddhist practices help them understand how they hurt others. This understanding helps them change their lives. During wars and disasters, Buddhist organizations bring help without asking what religion people follow or what country they come from. They see suffering and they respond. This is compassion in action. What makes this special is that people who help others this way often say they feel more peaceful and happy themselves. When we give comfort to someone who is crying, we feel better too. When we share our food with someone who is hungry, we feel full in our hearts. This is not strange. This is how compassion works. The Buddha said that all beings are connected like a web. When we help heal one part of the web, the whole web gets stronger. When we reduce suffering anywhere, we reduce suffering everywhere. This is why personal practice and helping others are really the same thing. This way of living shows us that wisdom and action must go together. We cannot find true peace by turning away from the world's pain. We find it by stepping toward that pain with open hands and gentle hearts. Part 4. Letting go in the age of anxiety. The Buddha spoke of suffering that comes from holding too tightly to things that must change. In our time, this teaching becomes more important than ever. We live in a world that moves very fast. We carry small machines that bring us thousands of messages every day. We see pictures of things we want to buy. We hear news that makes us afraid. Our minds never rest. The Buddha taught that all things are temporary. Nothing stays the same. This is called impermanence. When we understand this deeply, we can find peace even when everything around us seems crazy and loud. But we often forget this truth. We think our phone must always have new messages. We think we must buy new things to be happy. We think we must control everything that happens to us. This way of thinking creates suffering. We become like people trying to hold water in their hands. The harder we squeeze, the faster it runs away. The more we chase after things, the more restless we become. The more we try to make permanent what is temporary, the more we suffer. The Buddha showed us a different way. He taught non-attachment. This does not mean we stop caring about anything. It means we care without grasping. We love without trying to own. We enjoy good things when they come, and we let them go when they leave. We face hard times without running away, and we do not cling when they pass. When we feel fear about the future, we remember that fear lives only in thoughts about tomorrow. When we feel anger about the past, we remember that anger lives only in thoughts about yesterday. This moment, right now, is the only place where peace can be found. The old teachings give us tools for our modern troubles. When our minds race with worry, we can return to our breath. When we feel we must have something new, we can ask ourselves what we truly need. When we feel overwhelmed by noise and rushing, we can find a quiet place inside ourselves. We can practice seeing our thoughts like clouds in the sky. They come and they go. We do not need to chase them or push them away. We can watch them pass by. We can practice seeing our emotions like waves in the ocean. They rise and they fall. This is their nature. We do not need to be afraid of them or try to stop them. The middle way teaches us not to run toward pleasure or run away from pain. We can sit quietly with whatever comes. This takes practice, but when we learn to let go in this way, we find a happiness that does not depend on getting what we want or avoiding what we fear. Part 5. The Timeless Path to Happiness. The teachings of the Buddha shine like a lamp in every age. They do not belong to one time or one place. They belong to all people who seek freedom from pain and the path to true happiness. For 2,500 years, these teachings have traveled across mountains and oceans. They have touched the hearts of kings and farmers, monks and mothers, young and old. In every land they entered, they adapted like water, taking the shape of its container. Yet the essence remained pure and unchanged. The middle way calls to us today just as it called to people long ago. It asks us to find balance. Not too much comfort, not too much hardship, not too much thinking, not too little wisdom. This path does not require us to leave our homes or change our clothes. It asks us to change our hearts and minds. We can practice mindfulness while washing dishes or walking to work. We can speak with kindness to our family and neighbors. We can give what we can give and receive what comes with gratitude. These simple acts plant seeds of happiness that grow stronger each day. The Buddha taught that all beings want to be happy and free from pain. This truth has not changed. Our modern world brings new forms of suffering, but the medicine remains the same. When we practice right understanding, right speech, and right action, we create peace in our own hearts. This peace spreads to those around us like ripples in a pond. Compassion does not cost money or require special tools. It grows when we remember that others feel pain just as we do. When we help ease someone's burden, we lighten our own load. When we forgive, we set ourselves free. When we give without expecting return, we discover abundance we never knew we had. The practice of letting go teaches us that nothing lasts forever. Our troubles will pass. Our joys will pass. Understanding this brings great relief. We can hold life lightly, like holding a bird in our open palm. We can love without grasping. We can work without desperation. We can rest without guilt. This ancient path offers what no modern invention can provide. It gives us tools that never break and wisdom that never grows old. The more we practice, the clearer we see. The clearer we see, the freer we become. The freer we become, the more we can help others find their way to freedom. The middle way waits for each of us. It does not judge where we have been or worry about where we are going. It simply invites us to take the next step with awareness, with kindness, and with trust in our own capacity for awakening.